My friends, life will never be free from challenges. Sometimes, pain comes in the form of failure, sometimes in the form of rejection, and sometimes in the form of loss. And in those moments, the heart feels heavy, the mind feels restless, and we begin to believe that this pain will never end. But here's the truth: no storm lasts forever. Every night, no matter how dark, eventually gives way to the morning light. Think about the times in your past when you were hurting, when you thought you could not carry on. Yet here you are today, stronger, wiser, and more resilient because you endured it. That pain did not stay, it taught you, it shaped you. And then it moved on. The same will happen again. Pain is like a guest. It arrives without warning, it stays for a while, but it never takes up permanent residence. The mistake we make is assuming it will last forever, and in that assumption, we magnify our suffering. Stress is born not from pain itself, but from the illusion that the pain has no end. The moment you remember that it is temporary, you breathe lighter, your shoulders relax, and your spirit finds strength to carry on. So the next time pain knocks at your door, don't fight it, don't fear it. Just face it with patience. Know that it is not here to destroy you, but to prepare you. It is polishing you like fire polishes gold, and once its work is done, it will leave, and you will shine brighter than before. My friends, never forget this, don't stress. Pain is always temporary, but the strength you gain from it is permanent. That strength will carry you forward to new victories, to new joy, and to a life far greater than the one you thought was ending. My friends, let us pause and reflect on this simple truth: pain never lasts forever. No matter how intense it feels in the moment, no matter how heavy it weighs on your heart, it does not have the power to remain with you forever. The human experience is filled with seasons, moments of joy and moments of sorrow, days of sunshine and days of storm. But just as no season in nature is permanent, no season of pain in our lives is everlasting. Think of the darkest night you have ever experienced. At that time, it may have felt endless. The silence of the night, the chill of the air, the weight of your own thoughts. It seemed as though the sun would never rise again. Yet it always did. Without fail, morning returned, bathing the world in light, dissolving the darkness that once appeared so permanent. Pain is very much the same. It can feel overwhelming when you are in it, but it is only passing through. It does not come to stay. It comes to test, to teach, and then to leave. When we are hurting, the biggest trap we fall into is believing that our suffering is eternal. The mind whispers, "This will never end. You will always feel this way. You will never recover." And when we listen to this voice, our stress multiplies. The actual pain itself may be manageable, but the story our mind tells us, that is what makes it unbearable. Imagine having a thorn in your foot. The physical pain is sharp, but temporary. But if your mind convinces you that this thorn will be stuck there forever, the suffering becomes 10 times worse. The truth, however, is that the thorn can be removed, the wound will heal, and you will walk again with ease. Life is filled with countless examples of this. Think of a student preparing for exams. The long nights of study, the pressure, the exhaustion, it all feels endless when you are in the middle of it. Yet, ask the same student a year later, and they will smile because what once felt like a mountain of pain is now just a memory. Or think of someone who faced heartbreak. In that moment, they were convinced their world was collapsing, that they could never feel joy again. And yet, time healed. The pain did not last. They laughed again, loved again, lived again. Pain is like a passing storm. When the clouds gather, when the sky darkens, when the rain pours down, it seems as though the entire world is drowning. But even the fiercest storm cannot last forever. The winds eventually quiet, and the sky is clear, and the sun shines brighter than before. Stress arises when we stare at the storm and believe it will never pass. But those who endure with patience know that the storm is only temporary. They wait, they hold on, and soon enough, they witness calm skies once more. My friends, let me tell you a story. There was a young man who once went to a wise teacher, overwhelmed by his struggles. Master, he said, my pain is unbearable. My failures crush me, my losses torment me, and my heart feels as though it is breaking every single day. I cannot go on. The wise teacher listened quietly and then handed him a glass of water with a handful of salt in it. Drink this, the teacher said. The young man sipped, and immediately his face twisted with disgust. It's too salty. I cannot drink it. The teacher then led him to a river, poured the same handful of salt into it, and asked him to drink. The young man cupped some water in his hands and drank. This time, he smiled. It tastes pure, refreshing. The teacher said, your pain is like the salt. It remains the same. But the size of your heart, the size of your perspective, that can change. If you confine your pain to a small glass, it will always taste bitter. But if you expand your heart like the river, the same pain will dissolve, and it will no longer control you. And remember, the water keeps flowing. It never remains the same. Just like your life, it keeps moving forward, and so does your pain. It cannot stay. That is the truth we often forget. Pain does not come to build a permanent home inside us. It flows through us like a river, sometimes heavy, sometimes light, but always moving. When you recognize this, your relationship with pain changes. You stop resisting, you stop stressing, and you begin to trust the process of time. Because time itself is a healer. No wound stays raw forever. Even the deepest cut forms a scar and then fades. Even the most devastating heartbreak softens with time. Even the heaviest grief becomes lighter to carry. Not because the pain was insignificant, but because pain is designed to be temporary. Just as joy passes, pain passes too. Nothing remains fixed in this ever-changing flow of life. When you accept this, you also gain courage. You no longer see pain as a wall blocking your way, but as a tunnel you must pass through. And every tunnel, no matter how dark, has an exit. Every tunnel leads you back into the light. So instead of fearing the pain, walk through it with faith. Instead of stressing, remind yourself, this is temporary. This too shall pass. And let us be honest, sometimes pain lingers longer than we wish. It may last weeks, months, even years. But even then, it changes form. What once was unbearable becomes bearable. What once broke you becomes a part of your strength. That is the miracle of being human. We adapt, we heal, we transform. The very pain that once seemed endless becomes the foundation of your growth. So the next time pain enters your life, do not treat it as your enemy. Acknowledge it, feel it, but remember, it is not forever. Tell yourself again and again, don't stress. Pain is always temporary. This mantra will give you the patience to endure and the clarity to see beyond the storm. In the grand design of life, nothing is permanent. Not success, not failure. Not joy, not sorrow. Everything flows. Everything changes. The sooner we embrace this truth, the lighter our hearts become. Because stress comes from holding on, from believing that today's pain will be tomorrow's destiny. But life is far more compassionate than that. It moves us forward. It opens new doors. It heals wounds, and it replaces our pain with wisdom. So, my friends, breathe deeply the next time you are hurting. Tell yourself, this is just a season. This is just a night. Morning will come. And when that morning comes, you will realize that not only did the pain pass, but you also grew stronger, braver, and wiser because of it. Don't stress. Pain is always temporary. What stays forever is the strength you gain, the lessons you learn, and the resilience you build. My friends, let us reflect on one powerful truth. Your past already proves your strength. Every single one of us has gone through moments in life where we thought, this is it, I cannot go on. This is too much for me. But here you are today, listening, breathing, alive, and stronger than you realize. The fact that you are here means you have already survived storms that once seemed impossible to endure. Think back to your most difficult days. Maybe it was when you lost someone you loved. Maybe it was when you failed despite giving your best effort. Maybe it was when you were rejected, abandoned, or left brokenhearted. In those moments, your mind whispered that life was over, that you would never recover, that the weight was too heavy. Yet time moved forward, and so did you. The tears dried, the wounds healed, the days became lighter. You carried that pain, but you also carried yourself through it. That alone is proof of your strength. Often, we underestimate ourselves. We think strength belongs to others, the successful, the powerful, the fearless. But true strength does not mean never breaking down, never crying, never doubting. True strength means you faced all of those moments and yet continued on. You got out of bed when your heart didn't want to. You kept moving when your legs felt like they could not carry you. You showed up when giving up felt easier. That is strength. That is resilience. And that is your story. Let me remind you of something very important. Every scar you carry is evidence of healing. Scars are not signs of weakness. They are proof that you endured. If you touch a scar on your body, you are touching the memory of pain, but also the victory of survival. Emotional scars are no different. They tell you that yes, you were wounded, but you did not stay broken. You rose again. And if you did it before, you can do it again. There is a story of a young bamboo plant. In the first few years of its life, nothing seems to happen. Farmers water it, nurture it, but there is no growth visible above the ground. People laugh and say, "This plant is weak. It will never grow." But in truth, the bamboo is growing roots deep underground. For years, it builds a strong foundation that no one can see. Then suddenly, in a matter of weeks, it shoots up, growing taller than most trees. What looked like weakness was actually preparation. My friends, your past struggles are like those roots. Every painful experience has built your inner foundation. You may not have noticed it while you were suffering, but those challenges made you stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Whenever you doubt yourself, look back. Remember that exam you thought you would fail, but somehow passed. Remember that heartbreak you thought you would never recover from, but now speak of calmly. Remember that job loss you thought would end your future, but eventually led you to a better opportunity. Each time, you thought it was the end, but each time, it was only a bend in the road, a redirection, a preparation for something greater. The truth is, pain comes and goes, but your strength grows with each wave you endure. It is like the ocean. Waves keep crashing on the shore, but every time the rocks stand firm. They may be shaped, they may be polished, but they are never washed away. You too are like those rocks. Life's waves may hit you again and again, but each time you remain standing, you prove your inner power. So why stress when you are already stronger than you believe? Why let today's difficulty convince you that you cannot make it, when your past already shows you can? Every time you look back at the mountains you have already climbed, you should feel confident about the mountain in front of you. You are not starting from zero. You are carrying with you the strength, the lessons, and the courage of every challenge you have ever overcome. Imagine if your younger self could see you now. That version of you who cried themselves to sleep, who thought the world was ending. If they could see that you survived, that you smiled again, that you are still standing, they would be proud. They would realize that strength was always within you. And today, as you face new struggles, remind yourself that your future self will also look back on this moment with pride. You will not only survive this, you will grow from it. Pain tries to make us forget our victories. It makes us focus only on the present discomfort, blinding us to the resilience we have already proven. But the key to endurance is memory, the memory of your own courage. When you remember your past struggles, you awaken your inner warrior. You tell yourself, "If I survived that, I can survive this too." That single thought dissolves stress and fills you with calm confidence. So, my friends, never doubt your capacity. Never forget your story. Your past has not only shaped you, it has equipped you. Every challenge was a training ground, every setback a preparation, every scar a medal of honor. And all of it stands as undeniable proof you are stronger than your pain. Don't stress. Pain is always temporary, but the strength you have gained from your past will stay with you forever. Trust that the same power that carried you before will carry you again. And when you look back, you will realize that this, too, was only another chapter in your story of resilience. My friends, there is a deep truth hidden inside this wisdom. Stress is not created by pain itself. Stress is created by the illusion that the pain will last forever. Pain is a reality, but stress is a choice. Pain is what life gives us, but stress is what our mind adds to it. And most of the time, we suffer more from our imagination than from the actual experience. Think about this carefully. Imagine you have a headache. The pain is real, but it is temporary. Now, if you tell yourself, what if this never goes away? What if tomorrow I wake up with it again? What if it gets worse? Suddenly the suffering multiplies. The headache is still just a small pain, but the stress your mind has created makes it unbearable. This is what happens with most of our struggles in life. The mind magnifies them by convincing us that they are endless. The illusion of permanence is our greatest enemy. When we are hurting, our mind whispers, "This is forever." But is it really? No, think back to your childhood. Think of the first time you were scolded at school, or the first time you lost a friend, or the first time you were humiliated in front of others. At that age, it felt like the end of the world. You believed you would never recover. Yet today, those moments are just faded memories. Some even make you smile when you think of how small they were compared to the life you have lived. The pain passed. What remained was only the lesson. The problem is, we forget this truth when we are in the middle of new pain. We forget that time has healed us before and will heal us again. Instead, we let stress take over because we cling to the illusion that what hurts today will hurt forever. But the moment you remind yourself, this too shall pass, stress loses its grip. Let me tell you a story. A wise monk once asked his students to hold a glass of water. "How heavy is this glass?" he asked. The students gave different answers. "Half a pound, 1 pound, 2 pounds. The monk smiled and said, "It does not matter how heavy it is. What matters is how long you hold it. If you hold it for a minute, it is fine. If you hold it for an hour, your arm will ache. If you hold it for a day, your arm will go numb with pain. The weight has not changed, but the longer you hold it, the heavier it feels." He then said, "Pain is the same. If you carry it for too long, it becomes unbearable. But if you learn to put it down, it will no longer stress you." This is the secret to dissolving stress, learning to see pain as passing, not permanent. The more you hold on, the heavier it feels. The more you assume it is forever, the more stressful it becomes. But when you accept that it will pass, when you let time do its work, you stop multiplying your suffering. Stress is a thief. It steals your present by making you worry about a future that has not yet arrived. Pain says, "I am here right now." Stress adds, "I will be here tomorrow and the next day, and maybe forever." That is a lie. That is the illusion. Pain is real, stress is exaggerated. And when you learn to separate the two, life becomes lighter. Consider the waves of the ocean. Each wave rises, crashes, and disappears. None of them last forever. If you are swimming and a wave hits you, you may feel scared for a moment. But if you panic and believe that this wave will never pass, you drown in fear. The truth is, another wave will come, and another, but each one will also fade. The ocean never sends a single wave to destroy you, it only sends motion to remind you of its rhythm. Life does the same. Pain comes in waves, but none of them last. What makes us drown is not the water, but the belief that we will never breathe again. And here is something even deeper. Many times, stress creates more pain than the original problem itself. A person who loses a job feels pain from the loss. But then their mind adds stress. What if I never find another job? What if I can't provide for my family? What if my life is ruined? The actual problem was losing one job, but the stress has multiplied it into losing hope for the entire future. Later, when that person finds a better opportunity, they look back and realize the stress was unnecessary. The pain was temporary. The future was not as dark as the mind imagined. This is why spiritual teachers always emphasize living in the present moment. Pain exists in the now. Stress exists in the imagined future. If you bring yourself back to the now, you realize, I am still alive. I am still breathing. I am still standing. And that realization is powerful. It reminds you that you are capable of enduring this moment, and that is all you need to endure. Because when you string together moments of endurance, the future takes care of itself. My friends, when pain comes, your first thought should not be, why me? But how long will this last? And then remind yourself, not forever. That simple shift in perspective removes the illusion of permanence. Once you see pain as a visitor, not a resident, you stop stressing. A visitor comes, stays for a while, and then leaves. That is what pain is. Stress comes when you assume the visitor has moved in permanently. But the truth is, life never allows that. Let me give you another example. Imagine you are stuck in heavy rain without an umbrella. You are soaked, shivering, and uncomfortable. At that moment, if you think, this rain will never stop, I will be trapped here forever, your stress grows. But if you remind yourself, every rain eventually stops, the clouds eventually clear, you find peace even in the storm. Your clothes may still be wet, but your heart is calm because you know it is not permanent. That is the power of perspective. Pain is what you feel. Stress is what you believe about what you feel. Change the belief, and the suffering reduces. Remember, this too shall pass. Say it again and again. Because it always has, and it always will. The next time your mind tells you, this pain will last forever, smile and answer back. You said that last time too, and you were wrong. Let your past victories remind you that stress is nothing but a lie. Pain is temporary and your resilience is permanent. So, my friends, don't let the illusion fool you. Don't magnify pain by imagining it will never end. Don't let stress steal your peace. Anchor yourself in the truth. Pain comes and goes, but you remain. The storm passes, but you remain. The night fades, but you remain. And every time you endure, you grow stronger, wiser, and calmer. Don't stress. Pain is always temporary, and stress is nothing more than a shadow created by your mind. Learn to see through that illusion, and you will walk through life with peace, even in the middle of storms. My friends, there is a gentle but powerful truth about the nature of pain. It does not come to punish you, it comes to prepare you. Life never wastes an experience, even the most difficult ones. What feels like suffering today is often shaping you for something greater tomorrow. Pain is not a destroyer, it is a sculptor. It chisels away at what is weak, unnecessary, and fragile within you, so that your true strength, your deeper wisdom, and your hidden potential can emerge. Think of gold. In its raw form, gold is just a dull piece of metal mixed with impurities. It cannot shine, and it cannot be shaped into something beautiful. What transforms it is fire. Only when gold is placed in intense heat do the impurities burn away, and what remains is pure, radiant, and valuable. Does the gold enjoy the fire? No. But without the fire, it would never shine. Similarly, your pain is the fire of life. It is not here to burn you, but to refine you. Every great person you admire, every hero you look up to, every wise soul you listen to, they are all products of pain. Their wisdom did not come from comfort, but from challenges. Their strength did not come from ease, but from endurance. Their light did not come from skipping the fire, but from walking through it. We, too, must pass through our own fires if we are to shine. Let us reflect on nature. A seed is buried in the darkness of the soil. It experiences pressure, weight, and isolation. If the seed could speak, it might say, "Why am I trapped here? Why am I in darkness?" Yet that very pressure is what activates its growth. Without being buried, the seed would never break open, never sprout, never reach the sunlight. The pain of the soil is not punishment. It is preparation for the tree. In the same way, when life buries you in challenges, it is not ending you, it is planting you for growth. Often we confuse preparation with punishment because we cannot see the bigger picture. We ask, why me? Why now? We forget that life is training us for something beyond the present. Pain stretches us, just like exercise stretches the muscles. Without resistance, the muscle never grows stronger. Without challenge, the mind never grows wiser. Without loss, the heart never learns compassion. Every kind of pain carries a hidden gift, a lesson that cannot be taught by comfort. There is a story of a caterpillar. It struggles inside its cocoon, fighting to break free. If someone out of pity cuts the cocoon open, the butterfly emerges weak, unable to fly. Why? Because the struggle itself is necessary. The pressure of breaking free strengthens the wings, preparing it for flight. Without that pain, the butterfly can never fulfill its destiny. My friends, your struggles are your cocoon. They may feel suffocating now, but they are building your wings. And when the time is right, you will not just walk, you will fly. So the next time pain enters your life, don't see it as a punishment. Instead, ask yourself, what is this preparing me for? Perhaps it is building patience. Perhaps it is teaching humility. Perhaps it is deepening empathy so you can connect with others more sincerely. Or perhaps it is simply sharpening your resilience so that you can face even greater opportunities in the future. The question is not, why is this happening to me? The real question is, what is this shaping within me? Remember, diamonds are just pieces of coal that handle pressure well. If coal had feelings, it would cry out, why am I being crushed? Why am I under such weight? But only through that process does it become something precious. In the same way, when you are under pressure, don't stress. You are not being destroyed, you are being transformed. Sometimes pain prepares you by closing doors. You lose a job, and at first, it feels like failure. But later, you realize it forced you to grow, to explore new paths, to discover talents you never knew you had. Sometimes pain prepares you by removing people from your life. A relationship ends and you feel abandoned. But later, you realize it made space for healthier love, for friendships built on trust, for bonds that uplift you. Pain clears away what does not serve you, so you can rise toward what does. And sometimes, pain prepares you by simply making you stronger. The challenges you face today are equipping you for tomorrow's opportunities. Life cannot hand you a crown if you have not learned to carry its weight. It cannot give you influence if you cannot handle criticism. It cannot bless you with abundance if you cannot manage loss. Pain is the training ground, the preparation room where your spirit learns discipline, patience, and courage. Now, I know in the middle of pain, these words may not feel comforting. When the fire is